Is it live now?
Yes, it's live.
And just type in the URL in chat box for everyone. Dr. Mukhopadhyay, you
Yes,
may
please.
like to start.
Yes. I think it's almost over 5:30, so we should start.
Yes, please. Do you want to open?
Yes, so just a minute. Where is it gone?
Do you want to show your screen? Tarun, can you make him co-host, please? Dr. Mukhopadhyay, Subrata Mukhopadhyay. Tarun?
I think it is visible now.
Yeah, I've done that, and you are the host now.
But I do not see that option for him.
He's already a co-host.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, if you would like to share your screen, please do that.
Okay. Am I visible and audible? Both? I think I did. Both are right. Okay, I could see my by side Vijay Gupta, Mark Carroll, Tarun Bhandari, all are there. And in the middle itself is Daman Dev Sood. I welcome speaker and the other distinguished guest, whether it's panelist, on the dais, anywhere. So today's thing is operational risk management. It's a very timely topic. And definitely we will like to hear Daman more on this aspect. When we can't say the pandemic is over, but still continuing. It is somewhere in mid-session, or I don't know, somewhere we are, and how the things are because of initial lockdown, then unlockdown in phases, and some places again re-lockdown, at least for the part of the day, how we will be managing, right, from working from home simultaneously. Because in fact, when I was waiting, I was doing something else also. That's why I lost the track of, because people told that productivity has decreased. I don't believe on that one. Productivity has increased and kept us informed. Even in the last Exicom, one of our Exicom member, who is TMS chairman, Vijay Devnath, in IEEE, talked about as many as 17 sessions I have attended actually in this week itself.
Right.
While he was coming to the office, and they had all great stories also to listen, because not many people are affected by COVID, but still the things to go, they are working. Anyway, without wasting much of time, IEEE has agreed to be with this ICI and other organizations to rather broadcast, and definitely some people from IEEE Delhi section and elsewhere also has joined, and we welcome all of them to listen to Damandev Sood. Basically, I should say some authority in the topic itself. Over to Sood.
Thank you very much. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, it is visible.
Great. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes,
So,
clearly.
quickly, the name is Daman, FBCI, FBCS, SMIEEE. A little bit about myself. I'm skipping this portion quickly to move on to the talk itself. And the topic we have kept for today, this evening, is operational risk management. First poll in front of you. Are you an IEEE member? Please respond on your screens. Which is interesting. 50% are IEEE members and 50% are non-IEEE members. Good. Thank you very much. While the platform is IEEE this evening, but the session is open to all. Thank you very much. Second poll in front of you. Risk management and operational risk management are same. just two different names. And what is your impression about this? Poll coming up now. And I request you to respond here, please. Interesting responses in front of you now. 9% saying yes, 73% saying no to this question, while 18% do not have an opinion, saying they do not know. So this is how there will be about 10 more. Keep responding, please keep participating. My attempt is to keep this interactive. Starting with a video clip. And in this, I need to unshare for a second and then share once again. Please let me know if you don't see and hear video. Is the video clear? Not yet.
Yeah, it's clear. It's good.
Was it clear? Oh, sorry. My
Yeah,
mistake.
it was fine. It was perfectly good.
Video clear? Audio clear?
Both are clear.
Great. Thank you.
Yes.
Continue, please.
There are three primary risks in banking. What are the primary risks? Credit risk, market risk, and ops risk. And historically, it is credit risk. You know what it is. A bank gives a loan, the person goes bankrupt. Okay, they have lost their money. Okay, that's credit risk. And when a bank gives a loan, they have to find out if the person they give the loan to is actually going to pay it back. That would be nice. So that's credit risk. You know what market risk is? They are going to invest money that they have in in some market. Can be any type of market, equities, fixed income, or whatever. Something will happen in the market, or maybe some foreign markets. There is market risk. And then there is ops risk. And by the way, there are other. The regulators are interested in these three risks. So the big regulators of all countries, actually, they want to see of a bank, what are you doing, how are you doing, how are you measuring your ops risks, these three credit risks. Okay, just to tell you a little bit, of where ops risks fit in the whole thing. The primary risk events on a company level are these three risks here. I come from an operations management area, and that I think ops risk that's the most important. By the way, there are some propagation effects of these risk events. What are the propagation effects? If there's too much risk and things don't go your way, there can be, for a company, there can be liquidity risks. So that's sort of the ensuing risks. Liquidity risk or reputation risk. You know, when what happened with the breach at JP Morgan Chase, that they lose 70 million people and small businesses all their information. The reputation of, hey, listen, JP Morgan Chase, you're a nice bank, but do you really know what you're doing? So there is some reputation risk. That's sort of a follow-up risk. That's usually, it has time-wise a couple of months that it will take to hit. And then you have industry-level risk.
So I just wanted to attempt to establish through this professor a couple of pointers towards the risk management, and he touched upon operational risk while he was talking of banks specifically, but the topic is for all industries, all organizations, corporates, NGOs, institutes, universities. I hope my screen is visible once again. So quickly looking at the definition, a continual cyclic process which includes risk assessment, decision making, and implementation of risk controls. So basically, the old story continues. Identify, evaluate, and mitigate. That's what controls is, which results in acceptance, mitigation, or avoidance. Some risk we may accept, most likely, which are within our risk appetite. ORM or operational risk management is the oversight of operational risks, including the risk of loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal processes. So when we talk of operational risk management, specifically these few words: internal processes, failure of internal processes and systems, human factors or external events. The moment I complete this, then generally this is all types of risks are covered here. And unlike other types of risks, operational risk became the focus area of the top management relatively late. And this definition I picked up from Wikipedia. From RBI, because we know today there are few people from outside India, so RBI is the central bank in the country, Reserve Bank of India, defines this as Basel, by the Basel Committee. So they use Basel Committee definition on banking supervision as the risk of loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal processes. So that continues from that Wikipedia definition also. People and system continues from there as well, or from external events. This definition includes legal risks, but excludes strategic and reputational risk. While the professor was talking about reputational risk also. There will always be some disagreements. Typical structure once again shown by RBI. We will not spend much time on this. This could be similar in almost all organizations. So top, there has to be board of directors. There has to be a risk management committee. Along with that, operational risk management committee. Many organizations have established this post, chief risk officer, maybe head of risk management, head of ERM in many organizations. And then we see operational risk management department as well. Going up to perhaps having sparks or coordinators or champions from each department and unit as well. Just for information, there is an ISO standard, ISO 31000, current version being 20018 version, about risk management. So we can start using a standard also if we wish for managing risks. Out of these three pictures, I would like to focus a little more about this third one, which generally tells us the full story of risk management. We need to establish scope, context, and criteria. Context can be internal as well as external. Assessment portion has to take place, which I said, identification, analysis, and evaluation. Based on that, I will find top 3, 4, 5 for me, and then I'll attempt to do the treatment. Whatever we do, there has to be recording and reporting of that. Recording is important so that it becomes kind of a database for future usage. Monitoring and review is not one-time activity that I've created my risk register and now I'm happy. Some risks, either value will change, is basically either the likelihood or the impact would change. Some risks may disappear and some new risks may appear also. That's why it is a continuous journey. Communication is very important in life. We say communication is important in crises. So risk management, crisis management, business continuity management, disaster management, these domains are very close to each other, go hand in hand. Communication is important even in risk. And right from starting point, if we say identification was the first step, communication will start from there, going up to mitigation, and continual improvement needs to be seen here also. When you're doing monitoring and reviewing, there is communication required at that point as well. The risk appetite, as I just said, is very important. I'm an auditor also, been across countries and companies, and my experience is that almost everyone knows risk appetite, but no one knows risk appetite. Some of the points that I'm going to be speaking this evening are based on my audit experiences also. So while risk management is one of the oldest domains out of risk management, crisis management, business continuity management, etc., risk management perhaps is the oldest one, but we still see gaps there in the understanding and implementation. That, based on my audit experience, I'm saying risk appetite is not known to people. Then some improvement would have happened. It is known, but it's not published. When we say publish, we don't mean to say publishing to the whole world, but at least to the relevant interested parties. Further improvement possible. Risk appetite is known, is published also, but is not used. So even this situation, even if an organization reaches this situation, not first bullet, but the third bullet, the moment we are at third bullet. But if we are not using, then there is no point in finding it or establishing it. Right? Further improvement, you keep passing all these questions, and then I find that this value is too old. While risk appetite can change, the good practices, it needs to be reviewed on a regular basis. May not change, but at least has to be reviewed. Finally, keep showing me everything. We talk of risk management, most likely the output is we are looking at a risk register. So organizations are able to show me the risk register, but the question is, how did you do this? So if you say risk appetite known to me, published and used also, how did you establish? There has to be a process, and I find that process is missing. Wouldn't be surprised. I was surprised, by the way. Some organizations, even large organizations, even today, do not have this department, risk management department. Quite surprising to me. Then finally, we say risk register also exists, but what I find is that methodology. When he asks this question, so how do you do this in your organization? People are able to tell me the stories, but as an auditor, I want to see the evidence, documented evidence, and that seems to be missing. Further improvements, that process also exists. People are able to show me, but when I see the process and the output of the process, the risk register, these two are not in sync, do not match. So we see there are so many gaps or improvements possible even in risk management, which is one of the oldest domains. Launching poll 3 at this point in time, look at these two blocks. And the question is, which one looks like a risk register to you? This is poll number 3 coming up now. And I request if you can respond on the screens, please. Couple of more seconds. If you can answer, respond, please. Only 58% people have responded so far. 30% people are saying figure A seems to be a risk register, which is actually not correct. 70% saying B is. The reason I put it here is I was talking to head of risk management in one of the organizations. Starting my consulting on BCM, one of the first questions, initial questions is, do you have an existing risk register? They said, yes. Can I have a look at this? This is the person, head of risk management, number 2 in the organization, director also, and he shared with me a file like A, which seems to be more of a log, an incident log to me, and I was surprised. And that's why I had put this question for the audience today. B is more likely. I had to manage that situation because I was quite speechless at that point in time. Head of risk management telling me A is my risk register. I told this seems to be reactive, while the good practice is to be proactive. Right? AC seems to be an incident log. Something happens, then you record what has happened, date, time, who did what, etc. B is the appropriate response to this question. So when I was talking that document process is missing, the basic principle according to me is that we need to be process dependent rather than people or practice dependent. Whatever you intend to do should not be here, it should be on paper. And when I say documented process, my definition is written, reviewed, approved, published, used. When you use a process, it would give you some output. That output needs to be published and used. And then over a period, this output needs to be reviewed and refined if required. And finally, even this process that you started with, this process needs to be reviewed and refined over period. Some examples I have given in the source also, that what are operational risks. A little later, I'll say, according to me, all risks fall into this category, but different organizations, different people define. Bit choosy. If you see what is left here, cyber attack, human error, regulations, outsourcing, talent retention, not all will be risks for all organizations, but some of these will be possible in almost all organizations. Digital disruption, which is more towards during these days of COVID-19 pandemic, Dr. Mukhopadhyay started the session with that name, when many of us have been working from home. With opening up, offices opening up, countries opening up, some people have started going back to offices also. Many organizations in the world have declared they will allow their employees to work from home for as long as possible, some saying forever perhaps, so that disruption or IT related challenges become more prominent now. Another source have shown at the bottom the source also from 2017 and 2018, that study by that organization showing top 10 operational risks, and you would see there is some commonality also. Outsourcing was number 3, just went down in the ranking, but it still exists. IT failure was below towards bottom, but reached towards top as IT disruption. A regulation or regulatory risks were number 2 and still remain at number 3 in 2018. So this just helps us to understand how this has been moving and what are the different types of risks that people define to be operational risks. So as I said, there will be some examples and cases I will be sharing. So example 1 coming up. Alec is a life insurance company and Raman is a data entry operator there. While creating a new application record, he entered applicants per month salary as 100,000 instead of, sorry, 1,000 instead of 100,000. What is the impact? What happens? A combination of sum assured and monthly salary would have resulted in the rejection of the proposal. Salary was actually this much. Proposal should have been rejected, but it got approved, policy got issued in error. This is one example of operational risk, which is human error. Coming to example 2, Anna is a technical analyst who works on applications of our organization. So she is a programmer, develops programs. She created an application recently for the accounts department to create invoices. Part 2 of the story, at the end of the month, the actual cash outflow was more than that flowing into this application. Investigations were held, and the team found that one of the account payable input was getting doubled after execution. This is a programming error, human error once again, and is an example of operational risk. This is a technical error. I'm saying programming error. We all are human beings and we can make mistakes, but that's why testing is so important. Third example of operational risk management, I'm saying, assume this is someone's entries in the passbook from my manual records. Hypothetical. According to this, I should have a saving of 120,000 at the end of the month. But I received the message from the bank that the amount in my account was only 100,000. What happened? My manual entries are not matching with actuals in my bank. After tallying all expenses and income, I realized that I had missed out on a donation of 20,000 that I make every year in this month. This is once again human error. Three different types of mistakes, all examples of operational risks. Fourth example coming up as human error once again. A mechanic leaves a tool inside a jet engine, resulting in the blowout of the engine during flight. The aircraft is able to return to the airport, but the passengers are shaken. I would be shaken, I'm sure, and have had some experience of that type. The airline's reputation is damaged. That's the impact. While the passengers would be shaken, airline loses reputation and possibility of financial impact as well. Fifth example quickly on information technology, from information technology or around IT or ICT, a critical network device experiences an error that results in a 4-hour outage for the website of an online retailer. The revenue is lost and customer satisfaction declines for the month. So this is the impact of that mistake. A question here is for you all, whichever organization you are from, how important your website is to you. Do you sell online? All, part, large, small amount or small amount? What else is there on your website? So what is the value of your website? If it goes down, what could be the impact on your organization? Example 6, insufficient processes. So it's not human mistake now, insufficient processes I'm saying. The settlement process for an investment bank is only designed for regular market volume. And this could, once again, the example coming for investment bank, but it could be for any other organization that deals through systems. One day there's a market crash and volume on the stock exchanges spikes to 50 times the normal volumes. The settlement process fails because it involves manual steps and the bank doesn't have enough trained staff. They do not have enough trained staff to complete the processes in a timely fashion. So what we see is the concept, as we have been saying, RCA, root cause analysis. We see the case, within the case, we see root cause analysis also that they didn't have the enough number of trained staff. Customers are impacted as their orders don't show as settled within the regular time. Bank suffers a loss of reputation with its customers and trading counterparties. Next example in front of you all then, process failure. A number of students deposited admission plus annual fee at a university and then got transferred to another preferable university. A refund would be due to them, but a customer service process breaks down due to a lack of training. Once again, we see what broke down was customer service process, but the cause was lack of training. These students are mistakenly told that they do not qualify for refund. What does this mean then? The students complain to the ministry, who launches an investigation on the university, and the university faces fines and negative publicity. And this is for those who are from the academic background, universities, institutes, or colleges attending the session today in India. Can AICTE or equivalent of that in any other country? There will be a Ministry of Education in every country. Do something like this to you. You may like to ask this question to yourself. Next example is quality risk example. An electronics company establishes a quality assurance process that catches 99.99% of defects in their vacuum cleaners. They therefore expect that 0.01% of their products will have a minor defect, and they establish a return policy that allows customers to get a replacement product should they discover a problem. For customer, it's easy. But to provide this service, there is some impact on the company, and that needs to be taken care of, that needs to be budgeted. That's the question here. The company budgets for such returns in their cost forecast. Insurance companies have cooling off period. The month you buy this insurance, you have 15 days. If you're not happy, you can return. This is kind of equivalent to that motor company, electronics company. Does that fall into this category? I believe yes, this is operational risk. And they will have to, this insurance company will have to look at a rate of returned or cancelled policies during this period. How many people within cooling off period return the policies? So even if I have returned, I get refund from the company, but company has invested some time, money, effort. There is impact on the company that needs to be taken care of by the company. So some examples, I said will be cases also. So I'm going to show a case. Pawan is working with Alik, that insurance company. You recollect, I hope, from the last example, is involved in a financial fraud. You know this, but you do not report or escalate. Question to think is why not? Is this operational risk? I believe this is. Case 2. Madan is working with Alex, same company. You have seen him behaving inappropriately with a female colleague. You also observed that the female colleague was not comfortable and also attempted opposing Madan. But you do not report or escalate, similar to the previous case. And the same question, why not? And again, I believe this is operational risk. With this, I'm launching poll 4 based on the last two cases. Both last two cases, financial fraud and sexual harassment, you know, but you do not report, because please select your answer when I launch the poll here. In front of you, I request you to participate fully, please. And very less participation in this course, in this question on this poll. I understand, because it seems to be kind of few being accused. So please do not take that way. We are just doing some study. For that, we have selected. You could say it's someone else who knew, who was watching Madan or Raman doing something wrong in the organization but did not report. So why would he or she not report? Results in front of you now, which is interesting. 29% say they may not speak out about this because the person is senior to them. Or 14% feel they will stand to lose a good friend if they speak about Raman or Pawan. 71% say the person may lose job. Poor guy. And for that, I would feel guilty. That's why I may not speak up. Especially with COVID-19 pandemic, I believe the whole world is going through economic stress. And then someone loses job, his or her job because of me, I may not like to speak up. 29% saying this is none of my business. There are some people like that also, it seems. And I have other tasks to do. So kind of indifferent, 14% falling into that category. Case 3, and this is a true story. My previous organization, we had an incident logging tool. And once we checked and found that there were no entries in that. What is your interpretation of this situation? And this is an organization where I was part of the board. We were 31, so one me versus 30. It was almost like that situation. People were happy. Board members were happy. No record. So I go deep in. People do not have faith in the process. They are not reporting, and we need to act upon. That's the root cause. We need to act upon that. By the way, because of that, I believe for such reasons, three cases that we have discussed, whistleblower policy came into organization. So that is mitigation. First, I identify a risk, and when I want to act upon that risk, this is the mitigation whistleblower policy. The one without disclosing your name, you can speak out. If you find something wrong in the organization, you can, your name will not be disclosed. With this, launching next poll, please. Are you aware of GDPR, which stands for General Data Protection Regulation of the European Union? Can I have your responses, please? Great, 75% participation. This is much better. And the response is 50-50. The next poll is linked with this one, so just keep in mind your response. Is GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation of European Union, applicable to your organization? What is your belief? Fall in front of, I'm sorry. Seems to be some mistake. Yeah, my mistake. The tool has option of having only 10 polls, it seems, so that's why it's missing. My mistake. But I can have hands going up if you wish in answer to this response. Is GDPR applicable to your organization? Initial responses used to be, for example, someone in India, maybe nearby countries, or anyone outside EU. First responses about 2 years ago when this was launched, no, it is for European Union, right? Not applicable to us. But it became clear to us that even if you have anything, wherever you are in the world, even if you have anything to do with anyone in the European Union, this becomes applicable to you. It is applicable to you. To which I've not been able to find an answer, but I have a question in mind. I'm still attempting to find the answer. On my phone, I have some data. I have some contacts of the people in the European Union. So do I fall under the, I mean, is it applicable to me as an individual also? I'm not sure about that. And should I delete those contacts? Because I may not be able to keep those safe. Something like that. These questions still remain in mind. Hassan is one of your employees working from home during COVID-19 pandemic. So I believe this would be almost all organizations today. He gets attracted by someone to provide some data in lieu of cash payment. Will this be operational risk? My answer is yes. And this is what I've been saying. People have said work from home. Some are saying COVID-19 pandemic equals BCM, right? Or work from home is new normal. Will work, people will work, our employees will work from home for as long as possible, as long as required, or some have said forever also. I believe both parties, the customer as well as the vendor, are doing some compromises. Unwritten, no one is willing to say yes, but the physical security and the information security environment of the office cannot match with home. Means home is much less compared to the office when it comes to information security and physical security. So we need to keep that in mind. Next question comes to mind, and I request maximum or all people to respond to this question, please. This is bad. The tool is not playing well with me. Okay. I see the part 2 of this in that poll, so stay with me, please. Just keep your answer with you to this one. During the lockdown, Were you eagerly looking forward to going back to office? I have run in about last 6 months, more than 50 surveys, and have asked one common question, the same. Are you eagerly looking forward to going back to office? In some cases, it became 100% also saying yes to this question, but generally it was 50%, 45 to 50% saying yes. They were eagerly looking forward to going back to office. What does this mean? My interpretation is this means there is some pain at home. And this is once again the organizations perhaps not understanding, not willing to understand, which is not correct according to me. We need to admit that there is a pain. We must understand that pain and we need to work upon that pain. Linked to this is that next question. What were the pains during work from home? Or if it's still continuing, then what are the pains working from home? If you would like to answer this question. Question in front of you, I believe now. May I request your responses, please? What were the pain points or pains during work from home? Or if it still continues, then what are the pains that you still continue with while working from home? I'll be happy if you have interest to share my paper that I've written about 15 pages, which is published on LinkedIn already, in which I've shared my experiences on two domains, communications during the COVID-19 pandemic and the work from home portion. Out of 15 pages, I think 9 pages are on work from home only. So my views are there, but quickly, this is what you all are saying in front of you. Physical infrastructure, 33%. IT infrastructure is the challenge. Trust me, IT is the easiest portion. Work-life imbalance, not balance. Imbalance seems to be 60%, and I believe that's right. Miss the breakouts of office. Some people actually have told me, Daman, as simple as that, I'm missing office. The tea breaks, the chit chat that used to happen, people getting bored at home. The tool had provided me only 10 options, that's why 10 only, but there are 15 or perhaps 20 pain points of working from home. Information security is a big challenge according to me. We have done some compromises. We are not admitting that into my place. If you're allowed me to work from home, you are intruding into my home. I believe in that personally also. And family disruption. I had a baby or parents to take care of 33% being people saying so. Didn't find the online meetings effective. This is including not Daman, you or me, going up to, I believe he doesn't need any introduction, Satya Nadella, saying that online meetings, virtual meetings are not effective, are as effective as the personal in-person meetings. And people saying stress fatigue also, there are many examples, studies showing from some countries, number of home violences have gone up, number of divorces have gone up because of work from home. So it's very easy to say there are many challenges. We need to look into those and work to remove those challenges. I can spend up to an hour, up to a day on this slide. And this is my way of saying the depth. First impression would be in the past, we would identify, evaluate, and mitigate a risk. This is what we would do. Fire, for example, I establish this a risk for me. I do some calculations. I still need to work on that. What I do is some mitigation, assume the detection system and the suppression system, and I would have stopped there. What we need to see is that if we mitigate one risk, it may give rise to another risk. And I'm taking the case of COVID-19 pandemic. Risk started COVID-19 pandemic. Mitigation happened by the government's lockdowns. But that gave rise to another risk, which was loss of business. there has been a debate saving lives or livelihoods across countries, right? So this risk was mitigated then by the organizations, not by the governments, by the organizations work from home. Roughly almost everyone did that. But that, as we just discussed in the previous poll, also gave rise to multiple risks, not single, multiple risks. I'm listing only few of these: physical security, information security, fatigue, stress, legality. I'll touch upon that quickly. But if you look at information security, we could still do some mitigation, code of conduct or NDAs. But for many, these were signed long, long ago. For a person like me, perhaps 35 years ago, and I might have forgotten. But up to an extent, there was some mitigation. This could be revived. The ones read it and sign it again. Legality, I'm not sure. To me, it may be illegal to work from home. Quickly, I'm saying if you allow me to work from home, all policies applicable in office, rules, regulations, and policies applicable in office become applicable at home also. And most likely, we wouldn't pass well. A CEO in Sharjah was attending my training, full management was attending my training. And when we came to this point, this was during lockdown period, they were attending from homes and I was delivering from home. The CEO said, Daman, I agree with you. Perhaps we have been working from home illegally. Linked with changing gear, shifting gear, linked with pandemic. Then after some time, then unlock started, opening up started, return to office, and that would give rise to another risk, which is virus spread due to proximity. Mitigation done, safe separation distance, but that gives rise to another risk, which is a reduced manpower in the office, right? Think of this virus spread through surfaces. That is another risk when opening up starts. Mitigation is increased sanitation, very easy to say, but that results in another risk, increased cost of doing business. How do you mitigate? You increase cost of your products and services, as simple as that. But once again, for the risk, which is your profits go down. The last one, that loss of productivity, right? So what do we do? Increase cost of your products once again, which further once again results into reduced profits. But last one is very interesting. Listen this carefully, please. Increased medical costs. Are these mitigation covered through insurance? I'm not sure. Most of us had an existing insurance policy, health insurance policy, whether that covered COVID-19 pandemic situation or not clear. But what you say is, the moment you are suspected or you are positive, you need to stay at home for about 2 weeks, quarantine. But who pays for that? Many organizations take this for granted. I'm quarantined, I'm not well, but I'm working from home during those 2 weeks. This is not correct according to me. If I'm sick, I should not be working. So I'm kind of forced to take leave. Would this be deducted from my leaves, annual leaves, or would company take care of this through some insurance or otherwise? So question is, what is your worst case scenario? It is expected that in a pandemic, up to 70% people may be impacted. 70% of your employee strength on vacation, on leave for 15 days. If company has to take care of that expense, multiply this with average daily salary. What is the cost? Did you have, that's your worst case scenario. Do you have that budget in place? Would you like to think about it now? At least, right? So this COVID-19 pandemic, as Dr. Mukhopadhyay said in the beginning, is not over yet. We do not know. 3 months ago, we were saying come winter in different parts of the world. Then we said end of year. Now we are saying some vaccines coming up, perhaps. Even if vaccine starts in next 3 months or 4 months, then there are billions of people to be taken care of. It may still take many 6 months. And then in between, just 2 months or 2 weeks ago, perhaps you would have heard that, seen that piece of news. The head of WHO saying that vaccine may not be the ultimate solution as well. So communication is very important. Quickly, I'm touching upon that in BCM, in crisis management, in risk management. in operational risk management, if you take care of this cycle, who communicates what, to whom, when, and how, then your communication plan is comprehensive, or your crisis communication plan is comprehensive. Who in this cycle is the author of the communication? What is the content of the communication? Whom is your target audience or interested party? When is either time or frequency? Every hour, once in a day, once in a week, or once in a month. When would you like to do this communication, and how is the media channel? Email, phone, notice, newspaper, or on TV, etc., etc. If you take care of this cycle, the communication in risk or in life is comprehensive. Also have been questions around, you know, that we should look at while managing risk to have some opportunity out of this. People are saying, theoretically at least, BCM is not enough. BCM is basic minimum that will ensure, right? That's not enough. You should emerge much stronger. Very easy to say, very difficult to do or find any examples, but COVID-19 actually has shown us multiple examples of this type. Many that I'm going to be sharing are from India, but one is global also. While we still have doubts, it's not proven, I believe, internationally, but we doubt that it started from China. So many companies, many countries are not happy with that and are planning to move out of China. Who gains? This is a risk becoming opportunity to India or some other countries nearby where these companies are planning to move out of China and move into. So that is a very good example. PPE kits, perhaps only some organizations knew this term, now the whole world knows. Oil and gas, manufacturing, etc., would have known this. And even that PPE kit was different from this PPE kit that COVID-19 pandemic has shown us. India was producing zero, was importing whatever number, it was not enough for COVID-19, but before that it was perhaps enough, was being imported most likely from China. But when lockdown started, garment factories, they shifted from garments from clothes to PPE kits. India is producing million kits per day and is perhaps exporting also now. So that is a case of risk turning into opportunity. Hand sanitizers, all of a sudden demand went up and we didn't have enough. From sugar factories, the main ingredient of hand sanitizer is alcohol, and sugar factories started convert. That's a byproduct, alcohol from there. And today, the hand sanitizer is available in the country enough, and also the cost has reduced by maybe 50-60%. Those are some numbers available. Ventilators, not enough in country. I find it difficult to believe, but how that a car manufacturing company started manufacturing ventilators. So once again, risk turning into opportunity for them. Vaccine, as we say, 7 billion people in the world. So many companies, at least about 10 companies are producing, but they are producing. When it comes to actual production, most likely it's going to be China, India, which can do mass production. So once again, for countries like that, this becomes an opportunity. And any gains for you, you can think of, that's a question. Homework for you all, for your organization, if you could think they have been, or if you can now think of converting this risk into an opportunity. Next topic quickly, which is close to operational risk management, the topic for the evening. GRC stands for governance, risk, and compliance, is an organizational strategy for managing governance, risk management, and compliance with industry and government regulations. Simple. This is the definition given by one global company called IBM. If you look at another one from Capgemini, another global company, they define GRC refers to a capability that helps an organization achieve its objectives with responsibility running right across the organization. And looking at what time did we start? 5:30. Okay. We have time. Is this still visible? Someone please respond. Video clear?
Yes, video is clear.
Audio clear?
Clear, clear.
Challenge in the
Thank you.
services industry. We see impacts.
Audio is
much
not clear.
we see our clients taking a lot different approach.
No,
Audio not clear?
yeah, it's not clear.
Clear, okay, sir. It's clear.
All right, okay.
To managing this risk. One of the things that's driving this is now the source of compliance risk is a lot different than it used to be. We see customer interactions, products and channels all coming into play, and where these things meet is really driving a whole new source of risk, which is really hard for our clients to get a handle on. And so because of that, we see clients taking a lot different approach to how they're managing this risk. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of those challenges?
I think there's a few things that we see when we look at our clients and the way that they're addressing sort of or dealing with the situation. I think a lot of compliance functions and what second line of defense function more generally have a real issue with this new environment. In one way, they're not resourced to deal with it. We have an inflation of new compliance requirements. We have a greater complexity than we've ever seen before in the regulatory space. And frankly, management has increased an increased need for information and for really transparency into what's going on. So this creates a real challenge for second line of defense functions. Number one, in terms of talent. Number two, in terms of the tools and technologies that are available to the second line of defense function. And I think three, the ability to produce the right visibility into the actual issues that exist.
For instance, compliance departments now, second line of defense, are not only responsible for keeping track of laws and regulations, they're now also responsible for monitoring and testing the controls that exist in the business. And that's a completely new frontier that requires that banks have the ability to put a risk assessment program in place and put monitoring and testing in place, which is a new frontier. And if you think about the skill set that goes into doing monitoring and testing, it's different than the traditional kind of legal and regulatory background that you'd expect to see from a traditional compliance department of years past.
We really see people have to understand operations, they have to understand customer experience, and they really need to come together and work on this issue. And that's really one of the things we see as being successful that we've been supporting and helping our clients with. And then analytics is a whole area that's really important too, and our clients are really trying to really leverage that.
Traditionally, as we just discussed, compliance is done in a passive way, reactive way. And we say analytics can really help organizations to take a proactive and integrated approach. So analytics will take the first step of integrating the multiple sources of data together and create one version of a truth, versus if you read one version of a compliance report from another version, and that means you can now leverage insights from multiple sources, from operations, from marketing, from sales, from channels, from products, and really looking at things proactively on a real-time basis.
As a second line of defense, that monitoring and testing component that I spoke about earlier being an expectation, how do you monitor and test ultimately every interaction that a customer service representative has with a customer?
That's right.
It's very, very challenging. And so to design that framework and then to think about how do I go about testing to make sure that our customers are having a good experience and are getting the right advice and their complaints are being handled appropriately. It is a real challenge, and we see that a lot of times the organizations aren't equipped, getting back to your talent issue, with the right talent to be able to really hone in to root cause issues, to really hone in on what's a process or a policy versus what's an actual control.
Let's talk a little bit about the lean principles and how we could use those to take away some things that maybe aren't creating value.
What we see works well in the lean principle is right to left approach, meaning, right, what are the key risk areas? What are the business objectives or organizational objectives we really want to achieve? And what are priorities of that? And use those priorities and objectives to drive what analysis, what rules, procedures we want to introduce.
We think there's value in each of the things we talked about today, and we do see clients working on each of these, whether it's risk integration and better process risk assessments, or it's testing, analytics. But we also think there's a better opportunity to really create a comprehensive plan and have a comprehensive business case that really you can get the whole enterprise behind and management behind to support you. So we think having a holistic plan that pulls all these together is really where the greatest opportunity lies.
I hope we are back to my slides. Next fall in front of you is operational risk linked to GRC. What is your belief about this? Paul in front of you, if you can respond, please. Few more seconds before I close it. The result is interesting. 100% so far, 100% people saying yes to this question. And I also agree with that. Results in front of you. 100% people saying yes, operational risk is linked to GRC. Thank you very much for your participation. And then there has been a concept about integrated risk management. So Gartner has defined this like a set of practices and processes supported by a risk-aware culture. So what is important here is risk-aware and culture of the organization and enabling technologies that improves decision making and performance. So ultimately, we are looking at improving the performance of the organization, overall performance of the organization, through an integrated view of how well an organization manages its unique set of risks. And quickly, once again, I would like to play a video. While I've been using videos from different people, these are the videos which were easily available in the public domain. I do not mean to promote those names by any way. I'm just picking up some learnings that I've found in these videos for ourselves.
Business world is experiencing unprecedented change. Global expansion, emerging markets, nimble competitors, digital disruption, mobile staff, empowered customers. Businesses face mounting complexity as the spectrum and consequences of risks increase. Yet businesses must take risks not only to survive, but to thrive. The business environment has never been more complex and the risks never more difficult to manage. Protection of financial strength and reputation is paramount. 63% of risk management professionals reported being caught off guard by an operational surprise in the last 5 years, such as a competitor disruption, an IT systems breach, loss of key talent, among numerous other possible events. Knowing what risks and opportunities are on the horizon is key. Corporate governance trends, increased regulatory demands, and board directors place pressure on executives to engage more in risk oversight. Successful organisations are moving away from silos and using an integrated approach to risk management. Led by the board with organisation-wide backing, integrated risk management considers risks from a top-down strategic perspective. Research shows that companies taking this more mature approach generate 3 times the profitability levels of those who do not. At SAI Global, we believe that when managed proactively, risk can be an opportunity and is a strategic imperative. We call this intelligent risk. Our integrated advisory, services and platforms operate across the entire risk lifecycle to drive competitive advantage and future success. SAI Global makes intelligent risk possible.
I'll go back to my slides once again. Quickly, I said ISO 31001 standard. Second name this evening I'm sharing is PAS 7000. PAS is a kind of beta version of a BS standard. Publicly available specification means it's ready, can be used, but it's not published as a standard yet. It's beta version. Just about supply chain risk management and supplier pre-qualification. Quickly, I'm just giving you a glimpse of that. Version is 2014 version. That's the year when it was published. we see 15 topic modules. Core topic modules from module 1 to 9, we see organizational profile, supplier capabilities, financial information, business governance. Governance comes into picture once again, employment policies, health and safety, which is also kind of a risk, data protection, which is kind of a risk, environmental risk, and quality management. And there are additional topics. 6, in the name of business ethics, very important. Supply chain traceability, supply chain security management, equal opportunity and freedom of association, and disciplinary practice. Finally, business continuity management coming into PAS 7000. Just for information, some people may not be aware, there is a full standard for business continuity management called ISO 22301. WEF, World Economic Forum, publishes global risk report every year. And if you pick up quickly from 2020 report, some of these top 10 risks in terms of likelihood listed in the left hand side, categories listed at the right hand side. In the middle, we see the middle column, we see top risk in terms of impact according to WEF report, World Economic Forum report. So if we quickly look, operational risk, which could be closed because of human mistake, generally we would say, right? Well, my impression is all of these, even any amount of a long list number of risks that we produce, according to me, all are operational risks. We see human-made environment disasters, right? Cyber attacks, data fraud, these could be very close to this. With respect to impact also, weapons of mass destruction would be made by human beings, I believe. There has been a saying that the next world war may be fought on water. That means once again people coming into picture, cyber attacks and human-made environment disasters. Infectious diseases by impact, as of now it appears to be number 10. According to the report, I'm not sure whether this report was, I think it was in the beginning of the year. So the next report, this ranking may change drastically. Next topic quickly, which still is within that operational risk management topic that we had kept for the evening. A buzzword, if you want to say, some people are saying that this is buzzword. According to me, this is the reality. Organizational resilience. There is a standard for that also, ISO 22316. The version is 2017 that defines this term as ability of an organization to absorb and adapt in a changing environment. And I believe 2020 has shown us maximum changes. Poll 10, I'll see whether the system is allowing me or not. Operational risk management is an integral part of organizational resilience. Poll coming up in front of you now. If you don't mind, if you can respond, please. Interestingly, 100% yes to this question, and I share the results with you. This is how you have responded. Operational risk management is an integral part of organizational resilience. I believe in this, and you all also have said this. Thank you very much. So people say, Daman, you have talked a lot about risk, operational risk, integrated risk, GRC. What is the way forward? So my suggestion, my view, my belief is that moving from risk management to GRC, which happened maybe a couple of decades ago, risk management would be hundreds of years ago old, to integrated risk management, which we touched upon quickly. What has happened is, to my understanding, even ISO has been working on creating an integrated standard, integrated management system. I have been hearing this for about 10 years or so. I don't know where do they stand currently. I know a couple of organizations that have mixed, integrated some of the domains. ISO 9001 quality management system, environment management system, information security management system, and perhaps business continuity management system. But the challenge is there are so many in the world. Then integrating into one may be a challenge. Journey forward from left to right, according to me, we need to be moving towards organizational resilience. The standard ISO 22316 says that there are perhaps 20 domains or disciplines in the organization that work towards resilience of the organization. And I've picked up those here as blocks, starting from asset management, business continuity management, very easy to understand. Okay, this is the resilience, crisis management, cyber security, we would understand. But some of these facilities management, perhaps not so easily understood. Governance comes here. This is what we are seeing from risk management. Do we see risk management? There is a risk management. To GRC, to integrated risk management, all put together. I'm saying these 20, these make organizational resilience according to 22316. Why? What I did when I started reading this, studying this standard just about 3 months ago, I liked it so much, I developed a course. Some other day, I'll talk about that. 2 days course I have developed. Along with that, I wanted to develop a tool also to help organizations assess the level of resilience in their organizations. While creating that tool, on top of these 20, I ended up adding 4 more. So this is so vast. That's what I mean to say here. My way of saying moving from left to right, from risk management to governance, risk and compliance to integrated risk management to organizational resilience. And I created a definition of a resilient organization. According to me, risk managing, learning, and continually improving organization is a resilient organization, and we need to move into that direction. With this, I would like to stop with discussions. We have some time for questions also. But before that, this poll, which is number second last, I hope the system allows me to. Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind answering this question also. Happy to have your responses. While me, IEEE, which is the platform this evening that has brought this session to you all, we attempt to do our bit, but these sessions wouldn't be successful without you, the audience, the participants. So we thank you a lot. We appreciate you spending time here, stopping the poll and sharing the results. This is how you have said. Thank you very much. I'm repeating, without your participation, these sessions wouldn't be successful. And the last one. The beginning, we had a question about you being an IEEE member, and we are ending with this question: would you like to become an IEEE member? If you would like to respond, please feel free to. Thank you very much. Quickly, results in front of you. Thanks very much. Those who are interested, we'll share information with them. And we have time for some questions. If you have any questions, please feel free. Either you can type in the chat box, or if you want, please switch on your mic and you can speak as well.
Damon, this is Mark Carroll. Can you hear me?
Thanks, Mark, but I'm scared.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are clear.
Great. Just a commentary, and that is that we differentiate, as we should, market and credit risk from operational risk, and that's a pretty clear distinction. And I think that's well known. At the same time, I think what we don't do is we don't look at commonality. And by that, I mean, market and credit risk have really institutionalized the concept of a portfolio assessment to risk management.
Okay.
The hedging and the offsets and liquidity and things like that.
Right.
And I think the operational risk world would be served well to leverage not that content, but that process, and look at that and say, I can offset some of my insurance costs with, locked doors or risk engineering of a factory or something like that.
Right.
But it's a balance there across those individual risk domains operationally that the market and credit people have got down to a science. And I think we're a couple of steps below them on that understanding and have not adopted that as universally as they have.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. For information, everyone else, Mark is a friend and he's an expert in risk management, right? So his comments are highly valuable. I would have actually liked to be listening to him on risk management rather than speaking to him on risk management. Thank you very much, Mark. Any other questions or comments, please? I'm looking at the chat window also if there's anything in the chat. Not yet.
David, I have a question, and it is related to the operational risk silos. How do you harmonize the risk appetite across the individual risk domains? I've got an insurance deductible of, pick a number, $500,000, and I've got a recovery objective that dollarizes that says I'm going to be down, and I can only afford $100,000. Those are two different extremes on what is really a risk not tolerance, a risk appetite. And how do those get reconciled in the business across those disciplines? I don't have an answer for that. It's just a anecdotal question.
I'm sorry, I may not be able to add much to that, Mark. What I admit is this is a challenge. I agree with you. This is a challenge. What my approach has been with respect to risk management, what it says, I tell a story. This is hypothetical story that there are some lessons to be learned from animals. And that first lesson I say is we should not be the pigeons. The story says in the story, when the pigeon sees a cat, pigeon closes the eyes as if there is no cat. Well, it becomes very easy for cat to jump and eat. So we, either individuals or organizations or departments within the organizations, should not become pigeons. What I mean to say is, first admit there is a risk. Have all the risk, all the questions on the paper. I may not have all the answers, but the question is, do I have the questions on paper? That's what I'm saying. Admitting that we have, then only we will be able to work upon that. So I'm repeating, perhaps your question is very difficult even for me to answer. I may not be able to. The challenge I'm saying is people do not understand risk appetite concept itself. Biggest corporations, this is what my experience is. When I ask this question, they start telling me the definition. I'm not asking definition. I'm asking, what is your risk appetite? Have you established that? And even if someone says yes, whether 1,000 or $100,000, but then how have you arrived this? How current it is? All those questions are not answered. So what you say is very high maturity level, I believe.
That's fair. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone? We'll wait for a minute. And my request is, I'm switching off my screen.
Hello, sir. I have one question.
Yes, please.
My name is Dr. Chaturvedi,
right,
and I found your talk very interesting.
Thank you.
Particularly the way you have built it up to the resilience concept. And I fully agree that resilience is the key thing that we have to focus. Now, my question is that how do we translate this ISO, which you have talked about, to the national level, like from organization level? Suppose we want to target our critical information infrastructures.
Right.
How can one transition to those? Will the approaches be same, or you got to abstract out some way? Could you give some insight into this?
Okay, so once again, I'll say it's a good and important question, but difficult question once again. To my understanding and to my belief, this is how I will answer this question. It may not be the right answer or appropriate answer, but to my belief, standard, whether we call up 22301 or 22316 about organizational resilience, generally these are generic standards. Anyone can use, any organization, anywhere. Then I take the governments and the countries also to be an organization. So these can be applied, implemented there itself, there also. Good news is for India, right? And before I say India, I know some countries have mandated business continuity management. Some have mandated only to few industries. In UK, there is something called Contingencies Act of 2005. So the organizations were huge dependency of public, like police, hospitals. There it is mandatory. Many countries, many industry sectors have again not mandated but asked business continuity to be implemented. Mostly all central banks in all countries have said this, including RBI in India also. Some regulators, many countries, right? Telecom sector, insurance sectors, the regulators would have said implement BCM, but still not, it's not a rule or mandate. As a rule or mandate, one good example is from the UAE. In the country, it is mandatory by law to implement BCM. All organizations, not only government organizations, not only large corporates, all entities, they say entity, all entities need to implement. Coming to India, then, we have challenges, our own challenges. Country is huge, diversified, large population, which according to me is one of the biggest challenges or biggest risk. Today we are talking of risk, so I'll say a risk rather than challenge to this country. But a positive point, first time in my knowledge, in my knowledge, the Prime Minister said government departments to implement BCM. So I believe there's some change, while still perhaps not much has changed, right? I also go up and saying that nothing comes free in this world. Saying implement BCM or implement organizational resilience is easy, but it's going to cost also. I believe there is an outcome also if we say return on investment, which may not be directly in terms of financial numbers from BCM or from organization resilience, but there is huge value in doing that. Slowly, we need to move into that direction. Government has said it's now up to the organizations, and then it's up to us, the individuals, that we start improving upon. Once again, I'm saying my way forward from risk to organizational resilience. And we see there are at least 20 domains, disciplines. I believe space falling short. I ended up adding 4 more there. So that would be my little response to that question. We all are involved in this, need to get involved, need to improve upon this, from risk to organizational resilience. Centers are generic, anyone can use, the government as well as the corporate houses. I
Thank
hope
you, sir. Thank
a
you,
little
sir. I
bit.
think
Right. Thank you. I'm switching off my screen. I request everyone to switch on their cameras. We would like to take a picture. If you do not mind switching on your cameras, everyone, please. Some cameras are still off, so I'll wait.
Where is our section secretary? He's not visible. Or is he?
He is there, but maybe camera is not on.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3. You can smile to the best of your capabilities and I'll take a picture. Thank you very much. We still have some time, couple of questions, if any questions coming up. If not, then I would like to pass it back to Dr. Mukhopadhyay. And I request, some people may not understand who Dr. Mukhopadhyay is, so maybe you would like to say a few words about yourself also.
Oh, yes. I mean, I was long back with IEEE Delhi section chair. Now only, what is that, Consultants Network Affinity Group, we run it, through which actually by courtesy of that group itself, we organized it. And definitely we have our secretary there, though he is not showing his face. I will like to tell him about to wind up the session with vote of thanks actually on behalf of IEEE Delhi section. And if Mr. Tarun Bhandari is still there, he can also speak.
Tarun is my colleague, he's not there.
Okay.
But
Let
Mr.
Ravindra talk about this one. He's the section secretary at present of IEEE Delhi section. Ravindra, please.
You can unmute yourself if you're speaking. We can't see you, so we are not sure. Mr. Joshi?
Both are off, it seems.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me finish up that.
Yes,
thanks everybody for a patient hearing of Daman on this operational risk management. We had the chance to learn on different things, GRC, DGPR, then finally the word is resiliency, because in every sphere we see these things, how rigid, resilient, and all these things are there. Not rigidity, I will say some flexibility also be there to accommodate. So basically we'll be looking forward for further hearing from Daman, as well as more participation. We have tried actually, because in other forums we are seeing people from different countries also join. Here also, of course, we got it, but overall number was not so high. Definitely we'll see in future more people join, and particularly from the sister societies like IET, IST, CSI, and all the, again, the question may be of the topic, but these are general topics in any business or any sphere of engineering or technology or whatever the areas you are working, whether in academy, industry, everywhere it is possible actually the thing. Because we have seen a paradigm shift during COVID-19, what we used to have a face-to-face, even as an academia to talk. Now we are all with online. Even in fact, by the time I was preparing a question paper for tomorrow actually.
All right.
With a mixture of different types of questions we have to think of. Right. Because virtually all the examinations have become like an open book. So we have to think more of the questions and also the answers within the time permissible. Right. A lot of things are changing actually. So definitely in every field it is there. So for business continuity was there. Now the resiliency is also coming into point of view. Thanks all for participating. Today, though we could get about 20 people, and definitely they must have learned a lot. Dr. Chaturbedi also talked something. So definitely it has gone to the heart of the people to react also. Thank you all and have a good day. Or
thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.